first item is to consider the approval of minutes from June 1st, 2022. I looked through there and didn't see anything that caught my eye. Anybody have any?
Gary's usually our eagle eye. Did you see anything in the minutes, Gary?
No, it looked right to me, so.
Okay.
Sounded like a motion.
I was gonna say, is that a motion?
That's okay.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Number 2, consider designating a chairman and vice chairman pursuant to the TIRZ bylaws, Article 2, Section 1.
Who are they now? It's you and
Me and
who's
Jeff.
Okay. I mean, being that to be approved by the city council, I recommend we just keep the same two, if y'all willing to serve.
Okay.
That's any form of motion.
Yeah, second motion.
All right. All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed?
Those two voted against, were y'all two, what the, no.
All right, so I know number 3 was one of the big reasons we needed to meet for the annual report. So, Jeff?
Well, hello, board. If I haven't met, the ones I haven't met, I'm Seth Bowles. I'm the controller with the city's finance department. I was asked to make sure that this report got in on time, which was back on February 28th. So this was the first time I have done this report. So kind of in the presentation here, what I'm going to do is I wanted to kind of read through what some of those requirements were and then kind of give some of the highlights from that report as well. So with the annual reporting requirement for the tax increment financing zones, it requires all cities and counties that designate a tax increment reinvestment zone to file an annual report with the comptroller's office and the chief executive officer of each taxing unit that levies property taxes on real property in a reinvestment zone. This report must include the amount and source of revenue and the tax increment fund established for the zone, the amount and purpose of expenditures in that fund, the amount of principal and interest due on any outstanding bond indebtedness, the tax increment base and current captured appraised value retained by the zone, and the captured appraised value shared by a municipality or county and other taxing units, the total amount of tax increments received, and any other additional information necessary to demonstrate compliance for the reinvestment zone as adopted by the governing body of that municipality or county. That following report and form are due to be submitted on or before the 150th day following the end of the city's fiscal year, which in this case for this report would have been February 28th of 2023. Good news is the report was completed and emailed to the comptroller's office on February 27th, 2023.
Just in time.
Yeah, plenty of time, so. Along with that report is a comptroller form 5806. Each of you will have that in front of you. That was the basic information form that needs to be filled out that follows the same annual report that's attached directly behind that. I kind of like to go through some of the financial highlights and the performance report that will meet some of those requirements to inform the board. So for the year October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022, if you guys will go to page 3 of that report, you will see that the zone 2022 appraised value was at $160,028,093. Going down a little bit further is the tax increment fund revenue, and that was reported for 2022 at $279,937.
That was at the end of.
At the end.
Fiscal 2022.
Yes, sir.
What did we start with?
I believe the last one that we had before was that last reported number for 2021 was 255,452.
255,452.
Yes, sir.
We ended up the year at 279,937.
And it looks like the reason that, I mean, it's higher than it was last year, but based on some other notes and stuff that I have reviewed, it looks like sometimes several businesses don't pay its taxes, and it would reduce that amount that's collected each time. And so
Sorry,
that
what
could,
was that again?
sorry, sometimes several businesses do not pay its taxes, which would reduce that amount collected, but it did go up a little bit, so.
So we've got, but we took in 100 and, I saw it in there somewhere.
176,000, isn't that right? Yes,
But then we spent a little bit of money on stuff.
it's been
Yes.
102.
And if you guys go to page 4, this will be the performance report that's required. And this kind of just gives a little bit more like the revenue amount you guys have already mentioned for the 176,610. But under expenditures in total for fiscal year 2022 was 102,741. And that was made up of consulting services to finalize and update the downtown master plan for 33,000, as well as the design and build of the 4th Street and Grant project, which was 61,999, and a decorative planter vases, or multiple decorative planter vases for 7,742. And the rest of that report that comes out, the next page on page 5 will list the board of directors currently under that fiscal year's time. So this is something that has to be updated every year of any changes that may occur. And then that last recorded page is for the reinvestment zone boundary map that's required, so.
I noticed on that too, and we may need to, I noticed that under this, Carrie's term has expired and Don's has expired, so have y'all's boards reappointed you? Yes. Okay,
Yes,
for another 2-year term, so that puts you to 24.
whatever the term is it 2, 3 years, whatever, is it 2-year term?
I believe it's a 2-year term. Is it 2
Yeah.
years, Norma, 2 years?
Okay.
And then, Norma, do we have Jason Harrington? He shows that he's rolled off too. Has council taken action on that?
Yes, Ms. Minor has replaced him.
Okay, so.
That's
so
been
Rachel-
taken care of,
Okay,
yes.
so Jason's off, and Rachel's, okay.
I'll send an updated list of the board.
Okay, thank you.
And that final page, I'll mention it again, is just the boundary map that's required to be set up. If there's any other changes that happen throughout the course of the program, that boundary map would be changed, but there hasn't been any changes since 2018. I'd be happy to take any questions if y'all have anything or any requests of me further to do anything for you guys on this board, so.
The Fourth and Grant Street, was that the landscaping?
Yeah, the
Project,
parking lots,
okay, I see.
yeah. I make a motion that we accept the TIRZ annual report as presented by staff.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, thank you. I will ask one thing. When we get ready to do what's called the TIRZ billing for these taxing entities, would you guys require that to be brought to you guys first before we send those invoices out?
No,
Okay, that sounds good. Well, we will try to get those out between June and July. We were waiting on the appraisal district to get us what we needed, so. here in the
because
next-
I mean, they could, but what it is, it's a procedure that, they've agreed to 100%, 75% at their tax rate. So whatever the increased appraisal values are in that area, that's where it's figured. I mean, I don't think we need to see it, do y'all?
I've never seen it on
Yeah.
a board meeting minutes or anything. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't at y'all's
Yeah,
request. I
because
would
we
bring that,
don't,
so.
we don't change those rates or anything like that, so
Okay.
I don't think it's necessary.
All right, well, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Number 4, downtown Odessa update.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Fifth, and I'm with Downtown Odessa. A couple of things that are happening is recently we had Icon Tavern got their CFO, and they're now open for business. Homemade Wines is also operating, and I think since the last time y'all met, I think they've opened since then. I've had 2 meetings this week about potential grants that are going to be applied for. One is a lawn business, a lawn furniture business, and the one today was actually a new coffee shop that's coming downtown. So one is looking at renting the property, and one is actually in the process of already purchasing that. So we're looking at that in the coming weeks, hopefully. And then as far as our organization, we have a couple of events coming up. We have a partnered event with Mural Fest on May 13th. I keep forgetting that date. I'm so sorry. I'm so excited about it, and I keep messing up the date. That's a partnered event with Odessa Arts. And then, of course, we will be hosting the Firecracker Fandango on Saturday, July the 1st. Any questions or anything?
How was the Easter thing seemed to be a success this year. I mean, it seemed like it was a lot more people.
There was a lot of people. From what I understand, last year they had ordered 10,000 eggs. When they ran out, they went ahead and bought another 10 to make it through the event. So this year, when they placed the order, they ordered 40,000. And the event had been set up for 4 days when I took over a few weeks ago. And I said, I think maybe for me being my first year, I'm going to place it down to 3. We ran out of 40,000 eggs in 2 days. So this is something that we're going to have to revamp for next year as well. I don't know if it's less days or more eggs, but it was a very popular event. We had about 22 sponsors, local businesses that opened their doors, and people were just everywhere during those 2 days. It was really fun. It was a great event.
Was it it appeared that there were more sponsors this year than there were last year, just on the fly, and I don't know if that's true or not. But
There was about 5 more sponsors this year than there were last year. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What about Fandango for this year? What are we looking at?
Fandango for this year, we have 3 music groups that will be on the main stage. We're looking at a second stage with more of a local groups. We have the children's area and a car show. We have about 10 food trucks that are already signed up for the event, and we have about 25 vendors that are ready to go. We still are needing a little bit more on the food trucks, but we put that push out last week, and hopefully we'll get some more coming in pretty soon. We have in the works of getting the children's activity going. I have them, we're working on a contract with them for now. And the headliner for the night's going to be the NB Riders. We're working on a contract with Oak Revival for the second act and JoJo Solomon for the opening act so far.
Our sponsorships going.
Sponsorships, this is my first year, so I feel like I'm behind, but I also just started in February, and I feel like some of these sponsorships should have gone out maybe a little earlier, or I might be on track. I'm not sure. I'm a little nervous about that myself. I have about 5 so far.
You're on track.
Am I? Okay, good. I need somebody to tell me if I'm on track or not. I feel like I'm behind. But I was looking at the old spreadsheet from last year, and it looked like a lot of sponsors came in maybe even in June.
Again, you're on track.
I'm okay. So I felt a little bit better yesterday when I was doing research about it, because I feel like I'm behind on this. You know, I have a couple out that they haven't told me no to. I have Medical Center that I'm pending on, Frost Bank, and also the Marriott.
Yeah, Medical Center.
Well, how many did you have last year?
There was 10.
10. We've got 5 already.
Oh, no, let me see. No, I have 4.
Okay. Who are you talking to at Medical Center?
Susan Thornton, yes. And I did have a meeting with Sandra last week, so I'm still waiting to hear back on that.
All right, Medical Center, Marriott.
Pretty sure Sandra won't say no.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of leads out. I just haven't quite gotten those yeses, and so I felt a lot better when I was doing research from last year.
What are the sponsorships, and what do they, does it just go into a master?
It's yes, it's pretty much just going in. We have different levels, and I don't believe I have that with me for the sponsorships. But they start at $500 and they go up to $20,000. In my research, I haven't seen anybody with a $20,000 donation, but we had one of those, we'd be done.
I think the largest sponsorship it's ever had was 5,000
We had 10 last year.
last year. Okay,
Yes.
so prior to that. but-
I have one for 5 from HEB already, so that one, we have that one in. We have one for 500, one for 2,500, and one for 1,000, so just a little bit all over.
What's the total expense to put on the banner?
Last year, I saw the number was 100,000.
Because there's no admission, right?
There's no admission. Yes, and that's one of the big promotions. It's a free event, and places like HEB really like that since it's a free community, that they step up pretty well.
Let's get them to come cook some crawdads. They were cooking crawdads in their foyer the other day.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. I might reach out to them and see what they tell me, yeah.
Everybody crowded around.
Yeah, we have Walk-On so far, and we have Chick-fil-A, so some of the other ones are a little bit smaller, but the larger businesses would be nice to have too as well.
All right, any other DOI questions?
Nope.
Nope.
I believe I'm number 5 as well.
You are number 5.
I have not met with Kelly Cook from KDC in person. I've had a few emails from him. He did, my understanding is the project was stopped. It was paused. And this was paused before me coming into DOI. We sort of were waiting to restructure, sort of get everything set. And I did have an email from him that he wants to reach out and have a talk with me and go over the project again, but he will be out of town for the next couple of weeks, so we're shooting for a meeting with him mid-May at this time, when he's back from his trip.
Explain what that's for.
The project, from my understanding on this one, is going to be an entertaining street. The drafts that they were looking at would be either Jackson or it would be on Texas, and this would be redeveloping that street so that anytime there was an event held downtown, that street would be occupied for the use of that.
Oh, that was that plan we went over, yeah. I think the discussion is whether it's Jackson or Texas Street. That's what the holdup is.
Right.
So,
Is that the holdup?
Well, we didn't make a decision.
Well, it's not our choice.
no.
The council has invited him to come May the 9th to give the council an update as to see what's going on. So it is Jackson, Texas, somewhere around there that we've laid out. I'm not exactly sure what the holdup is, why anything hasn't been done.
And I'm not familiar enough with the project to tell you more than that.
Last year, right?
The contract in November of last year, yes, it was done November of last year.
No funds expended though?
None to my knowledge.
He said there'd been a little bit, about 18,000 had been
Yeah,
spent.
but nothing significant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little over 19, because he did send me an invoice on that. And that was just sort of for the surveying, from what I understand, for bringing different groups in to survey the area, from what my understanding from speaking with him. But going into more details, I don't know yet.
I thought that during the discussion we had, I thought it was that everybody seemed to be leaning towards Jackson because it's designed that way. You know, the LC Center's there, it ties into Marriott, whereas Texas Street is a lot more businesses there, a lot more business to be, I don't know why
Well, the last meeting we had, and I seem to be the last man standing from that committee.
You don't have nothing else to do.
The instruction was given to survey the businesses on Jackson and Texas to kind of get their opinion about who wanted what.
It's 2 businesses on Jackson.
There's 5,
5.
yeah.
And
Clover
how far-
House, Steve Brandon, the feed store, JSA, and Dr. Tangham.
The JSA's on.
They're in Jackson.
No, they're on what street it runs in the Marriott?
It'd be Jackson, I mean, I
Oh,
guess
it is?
Thangham
Okay.
could technically be Fifth Street.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, yeah, okay.
That was the instruction from the committee given to Casey, and my understanding is nothing ever happened with that. So, it's also my understanding that Casey's the one that told him to pause.
It was her instructions for her to, she called him and told him to pause. So when,
Let's hurry up.
Yeah.
Hurry up and unpause.
and unpause it,
Yeah.
and that's something that we can move forward with.
Okay.
But May the 9th,
May the ninth, he's been invited, so hopefully he'll be back from his trip.
what's the current timeline on the OC Park area?
Well,
Let's
There-
wait on that for the entity.
Oh,
updates.
okay.
Let's
Okay.
Okay.
Stick on our thing. All right, any other KDC?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have too much information on that.
You're good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, number 6, broadband project. So, Mr. Russell, you want to?
Yeah, so I'd ask Craig to put this on here, and really what I was looking for, I guess, is just a little bit of permission to do some investigation on behalf of the TIRZ board. You know, currently downtown, like where my store's at, and this is kind of what, I told Craig, this is a somewhat selfish, it's got a little selfish flavor to it, but I said, you know, we have very limited internet access downtown. We've got Cable One or whatever they're currently called. We don't have AT&T fiber, we don't have Grande, we don't even have T-Mobile 5G, which I just knew we'd have that by now. So, you know, thought it might be worth looking at, because I know this is good broadband access is increasingly important to a lot of things. Just to do some reach out to the various providers around the area and see what it might take to entice them to build out some infrastructure downtown, whether it's stringing some fiber or whatever they do these days. T-Mobile bringing their 5G down, whatever it is. But really just looking for a little input, if it would be okay to just for me to start just reaching out to those guys, saying, you know, let's find out, let's do a survey of what we have in the downtown area, where we have anything else. Because I don't know how far our lack of internet, you know, we're at Third and Grant, but you know, kind of do a little survey of what we have down there, and then start reaching out to some of the other providers to see what it might take to entice them into building out some broadband infrastructure in the downtown area.
Good idea. What kind of internet service they have at the courthouse? Is it good, bad,
Horrible.
horrible?
And I say very seriously, when we go to court, and I differentiating between like Midland and here. I mean, Midland has their own Wi-Fi, guest Wi-Fi, all that. We come here, if we're in court, we have to use, they have Wi-Fi, but you can't download anything. So let's say, for instance, we're in court and we needed to, I can't play video, so I have to use a hotspot on our phone every time we're in court because you can't get. And if that's on the first floor, if you go to the second or
You don't
third,
even have cell service, hardly,
Right.
second, third.
right.
What do they have at the Marriott? Y'all have
It's the Sparklight.
Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
And that's it, right?
And that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
When-
it's good. I mean, I think they ran a line whenever the hotel was built, but it may terminate there, so, but that's not much choice. I mean, there's not even much competition. It's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
And my experience, because we're the same, is that when there's an internet issue, like especially when I confer with people on 4th Street, some of the other businesses, if it's out with us or there's intermittent issues, they have intermittent issues. It's kind of that whole.
It kind of
whole
takes us
area.
all out.
Yeah.
So they were running something down 4th towards the park.
Yeah.
It looked like fiber.
I was wondering if that's the continuation of that
Yeah.
line from Sparklight, but you're right. I don't know. It was a contractor, but they were running
Yeah.
something to the park.
I was
I
curious
know
about
the
that.
school district has got all kinds of stuff that they've put in their central admin building and all, but I don't know what, you know, I don't know who or what, or if there's any availability there for, you know, other providers to use.
Well, the other one, the T-Mobile, I mentioned to you, the library received a very generous grant from T-Mobile and devices and hotspots and lots of things. And at the event to present all of that, we visited with several of the big ups from T-Mobile, and they're very interested in municipal type projects. So I would agree that that's a get contact information for the lady we spoke with. She was over Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana.
What kind of red tape can we bypass to get some other vendors in here to bring in alternatives?
Wasn't there a project last year that they were talking about bringing in?
For the record,
I mean.
there was.
Yeah,
I don't know
There
what
was
happened.
last year, but whatever happened to it?
Well, we have the, you're talking about the SoFi, or I can't remember.
Yes, SoFi
Yeah,
or
It wasn't SoFi, but it was.
I was
It's
on
something
the-
very similar to that.
I was under the impression they were gonna come to downtown and come all over.
Well,
to make it
that was
affordable.
my impression too. We may just need to find out what their timeline is and, because I do know council awarded that contract, to them.
Yeah, I'll see if I can dig something up.
Yeah, I'll check with those, see what they're doing, see what, what kind of internet service, broadband service they
Well,
have.
and I would think sooner rather than later, because there's all sorts of money floating around now for broadband. I know Judge Fawcett's been digging on that.
Yeah.
So I guess if it's acceptable to the board, I just kind of like permission to go start doing some investigation and see what we can dig up, and then we'll come back and.
You want that in a formal motion, or you want just okay from us to do it? Because we're not really spending any money right now, so.
Yeah.
Just
I make a
investigation.
motion that we give Jeff the wherewithal to go find out what we need to know about high-speed internet access in downtown.
Contacts.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, taxing entity.
Should we add I guess we should have made an amendment that we have that report back within a couple of days.
I'd like to see that by Friday.
I'd have to.
With all your great internet that you have currently. Anyway, all right, so taxing entities, you wanna?
Yeah,
give us an update on the-
well, we ran into some supply problems, so, we hoped, originally we had a grand opening scheduled for, May the 8th, is that next Tuesday? Anyway, it's been pushed back now till the end of May before we get done. Hopefully it's gonna be available for, the Fandango and stuff like that, so, but, that's where we are right now. We're just, we ran into some, supply problems, couldn't get stuff in, and they're going as fast as they can. But it looks like now, our tentative is, grand openings could be around May the 25th, something like that, something in that range. So,
It looks like just driving past their downs are really kind of putting the turf in. and
Right,
things
yeah.
like that.
and do it, adding the lights and bench or whatever, that type of deal.
Did they kill all those trees?
Well, they look dead, don't they?
They just look. so
It was a
dead.
horrible day when they brought
Yeah.
those in, hot, windy, just the wind, that was one of those days.
Yeah,
They didn't fare well.
fingers crossed. Thank you. Hospital?
Well, our big deal will be Friday at 2:00. We'll have a groundbreaking ceremony out at Wagner Noel. And it'll be just east of Wagner Noel for the behavioral health hospital. That's a joint thing that we're doing with Midland. We're gonna start off at 100 beds. I can tell you the legislature has already asked us if we'd consider taking 200 beds. 100 beds is over twice as big as any, like San Angelo. I think they have.
Did the legislature say if y'all do that, they'd give you an additional $20 million?
Well, they didn't
$40
say
million
$20 million. They said they would also possibly give us the money we needed to manage the property.
Okay.
So, and that's a big suit. So, and of course, you know, you can't even put a number on how big this is for our area and all areas. Behavioral health is where we're farthest behind in the medical field everywhere. And of course, this is gonna tie right into Texas Tech's psychiatric residency. This will have their psychiatric residency on site. That's where they'll be housed, and that's where that program will work out of. So that's the biggest deal we got going on. We're still involved in our sterilization project, just like everybody else. It went up, so we had to make some changes to our money, but we're gonna continue to get that right. And we're also still in the middle of working to expand ICU, CCU. So we're doing good things at the hospital.
Very good. Anything from the city, I guess? I don't know.
They're not doing that.
Hurry up and wait. And the county chose not to join us, so, all right.
His, Judge Fawcett, he seems to be really interested in collaboration. And has he talked about having representation on this board from?
I don't think he has. I think the big challenge there is not that they might not want representation, but they don't wanna give up any of their tax dollars.
Sure, right.
To buy it. I think that's gonna be
Right.
big.
I mean, representation is because of the tax dollars.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, right.
But even at 1%, you get a seat at the table. So, all right, anything else from the entities, questions? All right, call for future agenda items. It seems that it's been a year since we've done this. I just am of the opinion, I don't want to meet just for the sake of meeting. But
No, and I would really like to see, I'd like to see some idea or chart of what we have in the works, or what we're supposed to be having in the works, what's been canceled or put
Well-
on hold, anything, because a whole lot of nothing is still nothing.
yeah,
And if
I
you don't
think-
have it, you're gonna be the president again.
I know. No, I think what I would like to see, and one of the things I had asked for numerous times was some direction and some help in deciding what a TIRZ board can do, what projects are feasible, how we can get them together, and how we move forward on them. And the closest we got was the Secretary of State telling us how to get a TIRZ. Well, we're already there, so is there something we can do, some presentation, somebody we can have?
Well, where are we at on the wayfinding
Yeah, that was
project?
gonna be.
Where are we, I mean, the lighting
My
project that we
guess
talked
is
about?
we are nowhere. My guess is that
Now, my understanding was
absolutely-
all that was in that,
KD.
it was in that
It's all-
KDC.
Yeah, it's all part of the
Because,
KDC
you know,
project.
when we gave them the authority from here to move forward, you know, there's a lot, there's a lot of things that need to be done. We said, well, let's, our direction was that the things that we can do, let's get started doing them.
Right.
You know, and with the, there's something that had to, do some, whether it's some underground cabling, whatever, whatever that stuff they do is that it doesn't interfere as we go, move along so that we don't have to back and redo that stuff.
Yeah.
Because when we mentioned Wayfair, those type of things, some, signage, some
Lighting.
possibly lights, yeah, some, but I think a lot of that has to do with, I think the decision needs to be made, is it Jackson or is it Texas? Because that's where you want to start first.
Yeah.
Jackson,
Well,
if that's where it is.
but when we have nothing happening.
Right, and that other stuff can be done because we talked about the signage and stuff through the entire downtown area.
Absolutely.
That stuff can be done.
Well, and the scope of what KDC is doing is to include projects that we can do, that are
Right.
small bites, that are not gonna be $7 million things. And so we haven't seen that either. So
I noticed they have put up some parking signs.
Well, we just need to get on it. This is silly.
Yeah, I mean, we paid for the master plan, and that was rendered, and it, I think it had most of that in it. I think we were following up with that, and that's,
All
and then we got
all I
stuck.
see are potted plants. We need to get on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
This is silly.
I know that we.
he was on the agenda. I can't help it that he was in Mexico. So,
No, I know, I'm just saying, I mean, we need to get this
hopefully on the
pushed
9th at council, we will get an update from that. I know he offered his assistant to present, who is not here. I don't know why.
On the night, is that at the The work session at the city council meeting.
Probably a work session.
I believe it is the work session.
I'd ask him to present just to get the ball moving again, you know, because it sounds to me like he's probably busy and he probably, you know, the squeaky wheel thing.
So that's where I'm stuck.
Well, you're right to be angry. I'm not
I mean,
even,
it just-
it's ridiculous.
At every single point, there has been a roadblock thrown up. And coming from getting the master plan to the next sentence out of their mouth was, well, you have to have it engineered if it's over $50,000. Well, okay, we did that. Okay, now we spend another year sitting here.
Yeah.
And I believe it was your comment that you're gonna have a new ER before we get anything done. And that is,
Well, I
Unfortunately,
think
coming
we've
true.
gotta, you know, I think too, we've gotta look at what we do have to work with. And really, I think the OC project is probably, you know, kind of the anchor catalyst for what we can do down there. So we've gotta really look at that and say, okay, what bite-sized pieces can we take? You know, because, you know, the thing that frustrated me about the KDC deal as we got into it was, you know, we started out, we were going to do some fairly simple things, where we were gonna put some removable bollards on certain streets, and we were gonna widen some we were gonna do some sidewalk work, and and then it just kind of ballooned there to $7 million something. We don't know what that $7 million something is, but, you know, it just kind of grew. And then it got into a lot of dollars, and then it got into a lot of delays, and because there were a lot of questions about all that. But, you know, I would love to see us take a step back and look at what are the things that we can do. I mean, if we start, even if we just start with Festival Street, where it's nothing more than we take those couple blocks by the OC Park, and we're gonna do the bollards, and we're gonna do the lighting enhancements, and we're just focused on that little piece of it until we get that knocked out. Then we can add another little piece onto it as we see success with that, we get people down here and we generate interest. Then we tack on another piece instead. I think where that thing got boiled down in my mind, it went from kind of a piece to this whole
Grand
big
concept.
grand concept.
Yeah, it all had to be done at the
And
same
it just
time.
became an
It
elephant.
shouldn't have to be that. It ought to be, you know, I mean, that's the problem we run at the OC project is that, you know, the entire project is probably $16 million, you know, building and everything. We said, well, let's go at it from the standpoint of what can we do right now? So, you know, we put $3.5 million in it. You know, we're gonna have a splash pad, we're gonna have benches, green space, those type of things. You know, the building is gonna be at the south end, it's not gonna be there right now, but yeah, we'll have the infrastructure there that you don't have to go in later and add electricity, those type of things. So I think that's, you know, how we need to approach this. There's things we can do, let's do it. They tie in other things as we go around, you know.
Yeah, I think, you know, and I don't wanna, I can't speak for city council, but I think city council would welcome our input in how we get something done down there in bite-sized pieces and start moving this thing forward, because they've had $7 million sitting there in the bank for how many years, Dan?
3 years, maybe?
No, back with the first CO batch.
It was 2019?
It was 4 years.
Yeah, 3.5 years.
Well, I wonder if it's, of course,
but, I mean, I'm sorry, we've contracted that. We've hired KDC to build this Festival Street, correct?
Yes, but they've been put on hold.
By who? So we can't sit up here and say that, well, we're not making any progress when some mystery hold has been put on the project. I don't get it.
Well, my understanding is that Casey Hallmark told them,
Okay, how was that her authority?
I don't know.
Okay, so Elizabeth can call and say start.
That's
Is that how it works?
Wait, you keep
But
going,
that's-
buddy. Keep going.
I think we need the update from city council.
Yeah, that's why city council has had me send him a letter so they can figure out what he's doing, so we can figure out exactly when he's gonna get back to work. So that's what we're doing, gonna make the
There you go, okay.
Okay.
That's why we're doing this.
Okay.
Yeah, because the council wants to see something happen. They are as frustrated as you are.
I
They
doubt
want
that.
this-
I doubt that.
All right, good, that's good.
as
So
far as,
on
as far as
that,
the agenda, I think kind of the agenda we have is a pretty good one.
Just
so
say on that
if
note,
unless there's anything
would
additional
y'all like
that
to
we need
meet in May after the 9th and hopefully have an update?
If we can get an update from.
From
When we
KDC?
get the update from KDC is when I
Yeah.
think we should meet.
Right.
Well, and if we can all be there at the
Almost,
work
yeah.
session, that would be,
Norman, if you will, post it for the TIRZ board, would it be at 3 o'clock, work session?
The work session will be Tuesday at 3 o'clock,
Yeah.
yes. And what I can do is send an invite to, the TIRZ and go ahead and get it posted just in case to
Yeah,
cover our
Yeah,
quorum.
sure.
If you will.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
So let's just do that.
Okay.
Awesome,
Then y'all will be there to hear, see what he says.
great.
But just, again, it doesn't make sense to me. If it could be stopped at the phone call, why can't it be started again?
Good job.
All right, public comment. Think we're good on that? All right. Do I need a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, made a motion to adjourn. Somebody seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
I'm really, Craig, you just made the motion to adjourn.
Sounds good. All right.